Hi guys, in this video I've got an absolutely massive unboxing for you.
Scruffy Crow.
Okay, these two enormous boxes arrived for me today and I'm very excited. I ordered these at the weekend and it's now Thursday night, so these arrived this morning actually. So from order to doorstep, 4 days, that's not bad at all, is it? So I'm going to start with the slightly bigger one. Yeah, this guy is one of the cardboard cases. I can't remember the names, but I'll flash it up now. I went for this guy because I wanted to put these Beastmen in a bigger case. They were in just a sort of standard size KR case, and they were all just doubled up and clinking off each other, chipping the paint, making a mess. I'm a little bit annoyed. We've got a bit of a dint here already, but other than that, it's looking pretty cool. I've never had one of these cardboard cases this big. I do own a whole bunch of these ones, which are great for things like X-Wing, which is what this case used to be, and Blood Bowl, perfect for Blood Bowl, which I think is what it's in here now. And there we go, there's a little halfling Blood Bowl team. And there's actually enough room in there for 2 teams because there's a whole human team underneath. I've got ones with Malifaux and X-Wing and all sorts of things in. They're perfect for that sort of size. But with this Beastman army, I thought I don't really think I'm going to take it many places, and if I do, it'll be in my car. So wow, this thing folds right out, and there we've got the trays. So I went for a custom set of trays here. We've got some pick and pluck. This was going to be for the chariots and bigger monsters. We've got 2 trays of cavalry foam. Now, looking at these are going to possibly be a little bit large for what I needed. But that should give all my models plenty of room. These, what have we got? So that's 1 tray of small infantry. So quite deep still, but quite narrow ones. And then I've got 3 of these trays, and these will be for my sort of standard gauze. So the same depth, but just a lot more width, but it means obviously you get less on a tray. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to poke all these little foamy bits out, and then we'll start getting some models in there. Okay, let's have a look at how well these fit. So this is the standard 35mm infantry tray, and these are my Bestigors. Fairly awkward models to pack because of their halberds. We've also got some champions. Even more awkward, we've got these harpies, or oh, the word escaped me, but those things. And so far this tray is doing a sterling job. We're going to have these halberds sticking out, but then pretty much any tray, unless I really go wild on these square sizes, are going to have that problem. There's plenty of room in here for the musician and his horn to completely be inside the sheet. Once again, banner bearers are a bane for this sort of thing. But I think we should have enough room there. And this foam is a lot firmer than the KR foam that I've had. But I still think that should be soft enough to not damage the banner bearers when we put the layer on top. Okay, so that has absolutely eaten my Best of Goes whole. We've got a few exceptions though. We've got this guy and this guy with the banners on their backs. Are too long really to fit in here. So I'm not sure exactly what I'll do about those yet. Same with something like that, huge flat model. It's not going to fit in there. However, the standard beastmen in this army, so I've got sort of 30 of these all just fit in the holes absolutely fine. Even the ones with their weapons right outstretched like that fit in without too much trouble at all. I've got this guy as a unit leader for any Wheel of Time fans out there. That was kind of cool. And as you might have spotted, guys, I've got plenty of painting left to do in this army. I will get back to it at some point. But there we go, the 3 trays have swallowed all my standard size infantry without any trouble at all. So next up I've got one tray of the smaller one, and this is intended for my little Ungors. So I've got the Ungor spears. And once again I went for a slightly wider than I possibly needed, just because we're all on these 30mm bases. In hindsight I could have got away with these smaller infantry slots for most of the Gors. Actually that wouldn't, if I ordered again I probably would have ordered 2 trays of each actually, because yeah, they fit in there just fine. Next up we've got 2 of these ones, and now these were for the hounds. There's a lot of hounds here. I've got every sculpt there is. Got this guy, Skylar, I'm using as a hound. He's probably one of the biggest ones in the unit, and he is fitting in there. Oh, just nice. That is lovely. And we've got this big guy here. I ended up having to put him on a slightly longer base because he looked silly on a 40. But yeah, without too much trouble, he's fitting in there. This guy's something a bit special to me. Obviously he needs a paint job, but you don't see many of this sculpt around. I hadn't even seen it until fairly recently. I didn't even know it existed. I think you can only get it in the box set, and you couldn't get it in the separate packs. You certainly don't see it come up for eBay very often. You see here, the join is actually right back here, whereas the normal 2-headed version, the head's just like a separate little bit, which you can mod on to the other ones as well. But yeah, the standard hounds, which were quite tricky to get into my old foam, are going in here with room to spare. For variation as well, I've also got Direwolf. I always really like that sculpt. Never had a Vampire Camps army or anything, but it's a lovely old metal sculpt. So he's in there. I've seen his paint job, as do these slightly older Chaos Hounds. Mordheim Chaos Hounds. Redmore. And even these 2 that I can't remember where they came from exactly, but there's a guy who's done a few Kickstarters for Chaosy stuff, and this was his first one, and I just thought they were kind of cool and fit in really nicely. So yeah, that's 1 tray there, swallowed up all my Chaos Hounds, which were really giving me problems in my old case. Next tray is going to be the Centaurs. Now, once again, absolutely hassle to get in my old case. The Centaur with a horn, he fits in. I mean, he's no bigger than some of the hounds really, but the spears are going to be slightly more hassle. So we've got the Mordheim sculpt. And yeah, just we can keep their spears stick up like that. I don't think any damage will come from them like that. The heroes we couldn't fit in earlier. There we go. Even with their large back banners, fit in here fairly well. So with Goros and the banner bearer, I'm just going to do what I do normally with a case. It seems mean to do this to a brand new case, but I'm just going to tear that cell out. And then they can fit in there So now finally we've got this, I think it's 50mm deep pick and pluck. I went for 50 because that should be the width of a lot of these things' bases. So I've got a giant, a Cygor, that's my own sculpt years and years ago. I've got a Demon Prince, so this isn't going to be big enough. I've got a Minotaur. And over here there is 4 chariots, including Gorthor and a converted Pumbagor chariot. I think we'll have to exile the giants out. They don't really fit with this army. They were made for when this was back when this was a Warhammer army, which it hasn't been for a little while. I've grabbed a chariot base so we know roughly how much room these are going to take up. I'm going to leave this pristine for the time being. I'm going to get those chariots built. It is on my to-do list for soon anyway. I'll get those chariots built and then I'll know for definite what to pull out of here. Rather than pulling it to pieces and then deciding it needs to change later. Though saying that, you can, and I definitely have, just glued these back together with a bit of super glue and done all sorts of interesting things with these pluck foams to get maximum models in. So yeah, really happy with that. Alright, let's have a look what's in the second box. While I'm just doing this, I should mention that I have taken a look at the KR cases. I put my Oathmark Dwarf Army in one, and I'll link that video in the description. So this case was the same price basically as the last one we looked at. It is a little bit smaller. Once again, can't remember the name, I'll flash it up. So this was bought with my new Oathmark army in mind, so I'll not be packing it right now because they are still happily living in their glass cabinet over there, but we will still take a look. I have just signed up for an Oathmark event day. Oh, this is cool. What's this? The strap out of the way. I've got a smaller version of this and the strap was really nice, but I did have a little concern about this, the way these clips worked, but this one does seem a lot stiffer, so that might be better. On the other one, all I've done is I've just attached a bit of wire between the two. It might even worth it putting like a carabiner or something in. But this one does seem a bit better. I wouldn't necessarily trust it though after my old one. But yeah, so I've just signed up for Oathmark event day, so I needed something that I could carry my army around in. So that cardboard box, that's going to be fine for going to the club, lift it out of my car, take it to the club, or just storage in here. This, I was thinking, had more in mind of actually taking out to event. Because the models for my Oathmark army are on 25mm bases, I went for slightly different foam this time. I went for 2 trays of this lighter infantry foam. This was, of course, with halflings in mind. I could have probably even gone for shorter because they get lost, but yeah, the 25mm base fits neatly in there, and you certainly don't need any more room for halflings. But picking the smaller tray means that I can just get those few extra spaces in each level. So that should cover my pretty extensive halfling army. I think I've got 2 trays of that, and they are 4 by 10. So that's 40 squares in there. So 80. I think it covers all my halflings, I think. I've then got 3 trays of, this should be the same size roughly as the infantry from the old cover case, from the Beastman case, but not as deep. But because these guys are only on 25mm bases rather than the 30mm bases, it should be deep enough. So this is my Oathmark humans, and yeah, he's going to be absolutely fine in there. In fact, once again, I probably could have gone with something narrower. Once again, in hindsight, I should have gone with the narrower ones for the humans. But the wider ones are fine because it just means that bulkier models and heroes and what have you also have plenty of room to sort of spread out without getting things too cramped up. And I had room, because I went for the thinner trays, to put 3 of those in there. These are only 4x9, so you do get 4 less spaces per tray, which is not a lot less. Then we went for these ones. These are 40x40 by, I can't remember, by something. And I got these with cavalry in mind. And actually, in hindsight, oh, sorry, they must be 50. They must be 50x40. And it is a bit of a tight fit, but the walls between the cells are enough that that sort of digging in there isn't going to make any difference to this one. And I've only got 10 cavalry at the moment, plus a few heroes. And I've got 24 spaces in here. I think the ones on one layer, these ones are probably a little bit narrower. One of the rows is. But that shouldn't be a problem. Because I've got some halfling horses and stuff to go in there as well. And then finally, once again, I've got a layer of pluck foam. And that'll allow me to put things like my tree men in. I've also got, actually, yeah, come to think of it, things like chariots as well. So that's going to need a good amount of chunks sticking out. But what I will be able to do is I'll be able to just take this, actually I'll show you. I like the fact that pluck will allow you to do stuff like this, and then when I've got an irregular shaped model, he'll fit in there like that, and I've still got some space here that I can use for other stuff without worrying too much. And that is deep enough that none of that is sticking out, and I've got the whole chariot in safe and sound. And once again, with the toughness of the foam, and then we've got this bag. Let's have a look at the bag a bit closer. We've got quite a sturdy but flexible top. These sides feel almost armoured. They've got flex to them, but they're definitely this padding in there. And then in the side the case, it's got, oh, you can see what the padding is. It's this, here we go. We've got a layer of this sort of thick, sort of kind of flexible polythene stuff, and then a layer of this sort of quite durable foam in here. That's quite impressive, actually. It feels really sturdy, and we've got 2 sort of Velcro pockets on the sides. I don't think things would necessarily get too lost in there. And there's a little bit more of a secure pocket there. On the back you can stick a rule book or your army list or something, and that could be quite handy. I quite like the fact it completely unzips. So you can get there, but they've got the logo embroidered on. That's kind of cool. Do you know what? If they did that as a patch, I'd sew that on my shirt. A lovely wide pocket on the back here. Once again, you can get a small rule book or some of the bits and pieces, templates. Probably put my movement trays in there, actually. Got a little tactical pocket on the side with little expandy bits, so you could get tape measure or something in there. And that's going to be real nice. And same on that side. I'm not spinning the camera around, but that fits quite comfortably on my shoulder. I could probably do with the strap being a little bit longer. And yeah, I could even, no matter how much that ended up weighing, I could carry that around quite comfortably. Certainly over short distances, say taking it from a hotel to a gaming venue, which is pretty much my plan. So I'm really happy with that. As I said, this isn't the first time I've gone with Tabletop Tyrant. This is an older version of the smaller version of that. More akin to this sort of normal size army case that I'm used to. So this one doesn't unzip around the back, but it doesn't really need to. And the issue I had with this one is the corners kind of got bent in, which isn't too much of a hassle. But the foam is quite nice and thick, but it's not sort of coarse or anything. It's not going to damage your models. It actually keeps these guys quite safe. And I've actually cycled with this bag, so I use this bag a lot. I actually cycled with this on my shoulders. But as I said, I was a bit dubious about these clips. So these ones feel a bit stiffer than these older ones. But all I've done on this one is I've got a cable tie around there. On this side I've got a bit of wire, just so if those clips do fail for any reason, my models don't go all over the floor. Because as I said, I used to cycle down the roads with this on my shoulder. And here is an example of what I've done before with the pluck to get maximum stuff in. So I've got an awkward shaped model. I've ended up just doing a little super glue join there to get everything to fit. And everything's managed to have its space. I have obviously gone over the top and tried to ram as much stuff in as possible like normal. Just ended up in this plane being in the wrong place. But still, these models have got plenty of room. And as I said, this has served me well. And I've cycled around with this model on my shoulder for many sessions with no damage. So, I think they fixed some of my concerns that I had about this one, which was the curved edges sort of crushing in a little bit. Which, as I say, was never really too much of a problem because you've got quite a bit of give there anyway. So yeah, they've not only appear to have covered some of my concerns I had with this one, but I've never had a real problem with the quality of this. I've always really liked it, so that's why I was more than happy to invest in a new one, a bigger one. Just to let you know, they didn't pay me or send me anything. I'm just doing this as a review because I said I've got a few of their products. And I've got Games Workshop cases, KR multi cases, I've got storage boxes, I've even had sort of camera flight cases, full of pick and pluck before. I've got armies stored in all sorts of ways, and to be honest, my favourite is these guys. I will say that the little cases, these little ones, especially if you can get them at like shows and save on the postage, are unbeatable for small armies. This is my Relics Ridend Force. Absolutely awesome little chaps. But barring the two big models that this faction had, I've got all the rest of the models from the faction, all sitting nicely in one of those little cases. It's cardboard, so you can just sort of PVA a bit of printout on there, so I know what case is which. And you can throw that in a backpack. And yeah, for Blood Bowl and skirmish games, really like that. I said you saw my bolt action stuff in that one. Said I used to cycle a few miles with that on my shoulder, to and from work and to and from the club, and never had any problems. So yeah. So far I can recommend Tabletop Tyrant. But as ever, if I do come up with any issues using this at the show or with that big cardboard one, I will of course tell you guys, As I said, I'm not being sponsored or they haven't given me anything. And finally, I've got a question for you guys. What should I do with all of this? I've got an entire box now, and I've not even pulled all the insides out of that second case of foam squares. I guess I could make clump foliage out of it. What else would you guys recommend? And that's all for this video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments. Maybe subscribe for more. And as ever, thanks for watching. Bye.